Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be talking about quick measures. So, if you were paying attention in the last video on click tax and just how bad the slicer visual is about imposing quick click tax on people, you might have noticed that the report that I was working in was about quick measures and specifically the quick measure gallery. Um, so I was really making the video. I was really making this video originally, and then the click tax topic came up, and so I decided to kind of explore that within the context of the report that I already built. And so I wanted to keep that separate from this video because two really aren't really all that related. So yeah, one of my favorite galleries, my most favorite gallery on the Power BI community sites, the Quick Measure gallery. You'll just see how much I love this gallery here in a minute. So basically, this is kind of similar to the I've Got Issues video. It's using the same techniques to kind of web scrape the information off of here. But we'll get into this a little bit, but you'll notice there's not a ton of information. We've got the number of kudos, we have, the title of the report, who did the report. But we don't know things like how many views that these got and that sort of thing. So that's where it gets a little more complicated. So let me show you kind of the behind the scenes, and I apologize because it is it's just for personal use. It's not. I'd have to clean this up if I was ever going to release this, I think. But this is just something I've been kind of evolving over time. I've just been kind of using the same model for different purposes. All right, so essentially, if you watch the previous video on I've Got Issues, right? You'll see how I basically use the web scraping tool and tried to extract information for the quick measure gallery. I had to use it's the one where you can like buy examples, right? Where you can bring it up and you can type in the information you want, and that figures out the CSS identifier or whatever it is, however it does it behind the scenes, to identify the information you're trying to extract. It's cool. It takes some trial and error, and it's not always foolproof. I had some issues getting the dates, which I never really got into this model because I couldn't find a good extraction for it. I got a lot of errors when I was trying to extract the dates, like when it was posted and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's the basic model, right? You create these functions up here, which then kind of extract your data for you. So you basically find what you want as far as the table, you get it formatted, you replace this piece, right? Otherwise, this is pretty much the same. Your source passing the URL on a page, you get the web browser contents of the URL and the page together, and those are parameters that I've got here. So I've got my quick measure parameter. Same thing where basically it tries to have the URL all the way up into the page. So that's basically what I did, but there was an additional piece to this. So if you look at this right here, like I get the page, right? Because I'm doing 12 pages. That's how many pages in the quick measure gallery there are. And there's 30 quick measures to a page. So there's a max of about 360 quick measures. And I've got the user, the title, the kudos, and I was able to get the URL. And to get the URL, I had to basically, it was a relative URL. So it was like T5, then slash, and then quick measure gallery, and then the rest of it. So I had to kind of replace that with, the prefix for community.fabric.microsoft.com. So when my replace value, I'm replacing that slash T5 slash with community.fabric.microsoft.com slash T5 slash, right? And then once I have that, I can invoke my second custom function, which then actually goes out and gets my views. It's using this get QM function, right? And then I can get that, I can expand it, and I can get the amount of views for each of them. All right, so with all of that out of the way, this is what the report originally looked like. And so we'll apply the changes. No, we don't want to do that. Oh, I really didn't want to do that. Nope, cancel. Okay, all right, good. It fixed it, whatever. I just had deactivated this other table, the original table that I had gone down with quick measures, and I want this table instead because this is the one that has the views in it. Okay, so as you can see, I use the quick measure gallery a lot. So there's actually a total out there of 300, and I don't know if you can see that. 348 quick measures out there in the gallery. And so I've written over half of them. And you probably think that's excessive, and maybe it is. But I answer a lot of forums in the post, in the a lot of posts in the forums. And I always figured that, hey, if somebody's having this problem, somebody else is going to have the same basic type of problem. So what I use the quick measure gallery for is, hey, I solved this, posted the quick measure gallery, and then I can just reference it, right? And I can answer people's questions or at least help them along. Because I'm a big like teach the fish, not give you fish kind of guy. So I will spend time and create specific solutions. But if it's something that always it's coming up again and again in the forums, it's like, hey, go look at this post and see if you can figure it out on your own. If you can't, then yeah, come back and we'll talk about it. So as you can see, I've posted a ton of quick measures, like almost about 4 times more than anyone else. Amit has been out there quite a bit as well. And then you have Anonymous at 12, and these are pretty much brand new, all 7 of these. And then you have David. Oh, I can never remember. Elderveld. I probably butchering that. But anyway, he's done 4 in there. It really drops off right after like myself and Amit. It really kind of drops off, and most everybody that's on there has maybe one quick measure out there. So I'm able to get the amount of kudos, the quick measures. This one I got into a little bit more detail around like, okay, you can see measure total is the final word, right? Yes, measure totals are a problem, right? We don't need to discuss that on this channel. We all know. And it is by far, almost by twice, the most viewed article out there in the quick measure gallery. Probably because I reference it so much when I'm answering community forum posts. That every time that that topic comes up, I have a macro and it says, here you go. Here's an article. Here's this. This is how to solve it. Because it comes up so often. It's like if I just spent all my time answering specifically on measure totals, I'd never get any answer any other forum posts, I don't think, because it comes up so frequently. Even to this day, when people know about it and it's been out there and viewed that many times, right? Still. So anyway, actually, I want to add this one. I want to add the number of views to this one, which I think that's kind of interesting. So my posts in the quick measure galleries have been seen almost 1.5 million times. That's how much they've been viewed and used, which is by far the most out of anybody. And it's because I have so many of them out there and I reference them so much. So anyway, I thought that number was surprising. I had no idea that was going to come out to be like over 1 million views on my quick measure gallery post. That seems huge to me. So this is kind of interesting. I was trying to did a view rank, did a kudos rank, so it actually is different. So like measure totals is number 1 in terms of views as well as number of kudos. But things change in terms of number of kudos. So I was kind of interested to come up with like a kudos per view sort of metric, if you will. And this metric really skews in favor of like how many times it's been viewed. So if it's been viewed a small amount of times, even it gets one kudo, right? Like this one, 162 views, one person kudoed it. That's a pretty high number for this. In fact, that might be 0.6. No, here's one that's even more, 611 and 5 kudos, so 0.8. That's number 1 in terms of kudos per view. Yeah, so it really skews though towards the posts that have had the least amount of views or a small number of views, if you will. So that's kind of interesting, but I thought this was probably a cooler way to represent it. And this is actually what I was using these are the visuals, the slicers I was using in my last video. So you can see, using a bubble chart really is kind of cool in terms of it shows, just how much of an outlier that is. And I was kind of embarrassed by that. But it's useful. And I thought something else that's interesting. So if you notice in terms of this, right, this one, if I click here, I can automatically find clusters, which I already did. And I think it's this user cluster right here. So if I do that, then you can see, I'm not sure why these are different clusters, but it identified them as different clusters versus, I don't know why these aren't all clusters. I guess because this one's so much bigger than the other ones, and same with that maybe is why they're different clusters. It's got these clusters here and then kind of everything else. But and you saw that I had that find clusters, right? Well, now that I have something in the legend, I don't have that. So number one thing, if you can't find, hey, why am I not seeing automatically find clusters? First thing to check, if you already have something in the legend, it's not going to work. And then I also think that these have to be continuous, but that may not be true. And I'm not sure it shows up if they're categorical. That's something else to keep in mind. So for example, on this one, I already have something in the legend, so the user is in the legend, so I don't have that option to automatically find clusters. If I was to remove that, if I took that out, everything's going to turn blue, and then I'd already done that, and it found these clusters. So again, it's got basically these are in one cluster. Here's another cluster of quick measures, this one and this one. I guess, yeah, there's some, I don't know why it created the cluster as orange. I don't even know where the orange are. Oh, they're like hidden back here. Interesting. Okay. Some cluster right there. I don't know what that is. But anyway, so that's the reason. If you don't find that, make sure that you check that. And what did I have in here? I had user so that I could actually see, like, so like I'm this color essentially. So the measure tool is final word. This really demonstrates just how much of an outlier that article is compared to pretty much everything else. Simple linear regression by Deno. That's a pretty popular one as well. The correlation coefficient, that's also by Deno. And then, basically everything else. Some of the interesting ones that I was surprised at was, oh, I didn't want to go there. I go back to here and let's look up by title. Oh, I want it this way. Where's Cthulhu? Cthulhu, which just was kind of came up. I can't, when I wrote that, I thought that was totally a one-off. I didn't realize just how popular and how much I referenced and used it over the years. But it's got almost 30,000 views, which I think makes it in terms of view ranking, yeah, 16. So almost in the top 15 as far as, oh no, view rank 21. So almost in the top 20 of the 348 quick measures that are out there. I never would have guessed that. Before really digging into this, I would never have thought it was that high. It's kind of interesting to me. There's a lot of the SVG. There's a couple of the SVG ones that are ranked pretty high as well. And then like what I was doing in the last video, right, was, it's kind of interesting to sort of view kind of groups of measures. So if I go ahead and search here, so I was doing the bleep measures. And hey, look, I can select all. Isn't that great? So I filter down to that. So you can see to bleep with rank X, that one is really quite popular. Most kudos, most views. And those are not necessarily related to one another. Somewhat, I would say, in terms of there's probably somewhat of a trend line you could maybe draw through here. But yeah, it was so I've had fun playing with this. I'm not sure again how crazy of as one thing that they might want to improve on, but that wouldn't be for a normal user viewing this report, just for me sitting here in Power BI desktop, that you get that pops up right there. But yeah, so I'm not sure, there's not any kind of crazy metrics or analysis you can really do with this. Maybe if I had date, it'd be kind of interesting to see, how many measures have been submitted per year and over time and that. So I might go back and try to update that and try to figure that out. Although this does take a while to refresh, even for 348 quick measures, because you got to go out and get all 12 pages. And then for each 348 of those, you have to make a separate web call and extract more information. But yeah, so I mean, that's really it. I mean, I've been having fun playing with this. And if anybody does, want this and to play around with it and that sort of thing, I can always throw it out there in the GitHub repository. But yeah, that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.